Are you aware that you have been legally divorced for the past 2 months? That is the sentence my father's lawyer said to me. 10 minutes after I inherited $35 million. I was not confused for a stranger. I was not looking at someone else's file. I was looking at my own name, my own signature, on a divorce decree I never remember signing. And the man I still shared a bed with the night before had known about it the entire time. Let me take you back to how it started, because the ending will not make sense unless you understand what I was about to lose. My name is Haley Bennett. I was 35 years old, and I was the CEO of Novatech, a software company I built with my husband Victor, starting in a cramped apartment with unreliable Wi-Fi and secondhand furniture. We had nothing but a laptop and a stupid amount of hope. Years later, Novatech was one of the fastest-growing tech companies in Seattle. From the outside, we were the perfect couple, magazine features, award ceremonies, a marriage everyone envied. Nobody saw what happened behind our front door. Because behind that door, I was quietly breaking. And the reason had nothing to do with money. For years, I went through fertility treatment after fertility treatment. Injections, appointments, losses that nobody outside that room ever knew about. Every single time Victor held my hand and told me we'd get through it together. I believed him because that's what love does. It makes you trust someone even while your own heart is cracking in half. I ignored the late nights. I ignored the distance. I ignored a perfume on his collar that wasn't mine. I told myself it was just stress. I was wrong. And the person who would help destroy my marriage was someone I had personally saved. Years earlier, I met a young woman named Chloe Jenkins. She came from nothing, buried in debt, no future in sight. I paid off everything she owed. I brought her to Seattle. I paid for her education. I helped her build a career. She cried in front of me and swore she would spend her life proving my kindness wasn't wasted. I never imagined the woman I rescued from ruin would become the one who ended everything I loved. Now fast forward to that lawyer's office, staring at a divorce decree with my real signature on it. And suddenly, a memory I had buried came rushing back. While my father was dying in a hospital bed, Victor had placed a thick stack of investor documents in front of me, insisting they needed my signature immediately. I was exhausted. I was grieving. I trusted him completely, and I signed every page without reading a single word. Hidden inside that stack were divorce papers. I had signed away my own marriage without even knowing it. I could have driven straight home and confronted him. Instead, I did something Victor never expected. I hired a private investigator and stayed silent. What I found nearly broke me. Victor had been living in a luxury waterfront condo, a few miles from our house with Chloe. The neighbors thought they were a happy married couple. And there was a little boy in that apartment who called Victor Dad. While I was alone in fertility clinics praying for a miracle, my husband had already built an entire second family with the woman I had personally saved from poverty. But that wasn't even the worst part. Financial records showed Victor had been quietly funneling hundreds of thousands of dollars out of Novatech through shell companies tied to Chloe's family. Money I believed was fueling our company's growth had actually paid for their vacations, their condo, their designer clothes, the entire life he built with someone else. Every sacrifice I made had been financing his happiness with another woman. When I finally confronted him, he didn't apologize. He didn't even flinch. Victor blamed my infertility for pushing him away. He admitted he loved Chloe, and then he threatened me. Said if I exposed him, he'd destroy Novatech from the inside because too many employees depended on that company to survive. He thought that threat would keep me silent. He had no idea that while he thought he was controlling me, I had already quietly assembled a legal team, forensic accountants, cybersecurity experts, and investigators, building a case against him piece by piece, for weeks. And here's the twist Victor never saw coming. His own greed had already sealed his fate. By secretly divorcing me before my father's inheritance was transferred, Victor legally lost any claim to the $35 million he wanted so badly. He thought he was being clever. Instead, he had disqualified himself with his own signature. His greed had protected me without him even realizing it. But the real reckoning was still coming, in front of everyone. It happened during Novatech's biggest investor presentation. Confident he still controlled our systems, Victor tried to trigger a hidden kill switch to sabotage the demo live, in front of every investor in the room. Except every password had already been revoked. Every backup had already been secured. Every piece of evidence had already been prepared and handed to the right people. As police officers walked into that room, I laid out years of fraud, theft, blackmail, and sabotage in front of the very people he had tried to impress. Within minutes, the man I had once built an empire with was in handcuffs, watching everything he'd stolen for collapse around him. But even that wasn't the final twist, not even close. DNA testing later confirmed that the little boy Victor believed was his son, the child he sacrificed his marriage, his integrity, and his career to protect, wasn't his son at all. The family he destroyed everything to build had never actually been his. People still ask me what the worst day of my life was. I used to think it was the day I found out about the secret divorce. I was wrong. That was actually the day I stopped living a lie. My father didn't just leave me $35 million. He left me one final act of protection, one that exposed every betrayal that had been hiding behind my back for years. I lost a husband, but I found the truth. I lost a marriage, but I saved my company, my future, and my dignity. Sometimes life has to destroy the world you believed in, just so it can rebuild one that's actually real. And if there's one thing I carry with me now, it's this: kindness should never come without boundaries, and trust should never come without wisdom. Because the people closest to your heart are sometimes the only ones capable of breaking it.